Up on the right.
4 years ago, Prince Harry fulfilled a burning ambition. He was deployed to Afghanistan to fight.
Most of the guys were pretty bummed that I was here because nothing was happening for the first few days that I was here. But things are picking up again now because it's obviously quite boring when nothing happens down here.
Britain's royals are expected to serve in the armed forces. Prince Charles was in the Navy, as was his brother, Prince Andrew, who flew helicopters during the Falklands War in 1982. Prince William is in the Air Force, flying search and rescue.
Guard of honour! By the right!
For Prince Harry, though, it was always going to be the army. He was an officer cadet at school, leading the parade. Aged 20, his father handed him over to the Sandhurst Military Academy, where Britain trains its officer class. The regime here is unforgiving.
They start pretty early. We say here that many of the cadets who turn up have been used to working for 4 hours a day and sleeping for 20, and our aim is generally to reverse that cycle.
1 year later, and he was a commissioned officer and desperately keen to serve on the front line.
If they said, no, you can't go front line, then I wouldn't drag my sorry ass through Sandhurst, and I wouldn't be where I am now, because the last thing I want to do is have my soldiers sent away to Iraq or wherever like that, and for me to be held back home twiddling my thumbs thinking, well, what about David, what about Derek, you know?
At first, he was off to Iraq.
The decision has been taken by myself that he will deploy with his regiment in due course.
2 weeks later, it was off.
I've decided that the risk to Prince Harry is too great.
Finally, with the media sworn to secrecy, he was deployed. If Prince Harry had wanted to get as far away as possible from his military base in Britain, he had succeeded. He found himself in the south of Helmand province, working as a battlefield air controller, face to face with the Taliban.
They pop up their heads, they poke their heads up, and then that's it. And then if the guys are coming under a lot of fire, then I call the air in, and as soon as the air comes up, they disappear and just jump down these holes or go into their bunkers.
Roger, that large compound, just confirm there's many craters from air ordnance.
And Purple was where we dropped 2 days ago, because there's a big bunker system there that they're building up. The whole place is just deserted, and there's no roofs on any of the compounds. There's craters all over the place. It looks like something out of sort of the Battle of the Somme.
He also undertook foot patrols and embraced his anonymity.
It's very nice to be sort of a normal person for once. I think this is about as normal as I'm ever going to get. Just walking around some of the locals or the AMP, they haven't got a clue. Next door, through these walls that's got holes in it, are the interpreters, and they haven't got a clue. Sit down, have a chat with them, have a cigarette with them, and wish I could say I had a beer, but that doesn't happen around here.
The Americans arrived, all is well in the Empire.
A few weeks later, and Harry had moved north.
They brought dogs.
He was now with a squadron of armoured vehicles, and still clearly in his element.
I was going to get pet one, he goes, no, killer dog. It's like, okay, it was drugs dog, friendly. Killer dog, not so friendly.
On one occasion, as it was about to cross a wadi, a dry riverbed, the patrol discovered a roadside bomb.
Yesterday we just bumped into an IED in a vulnerable point, perfect ambush point.
Roger, orange smoke now.
Still working as an air traffic controller, it was Harry's job to bring in the disposal unit.
Beautiful car. We waited about 4 hours for the EOD team to come out.
Yeah, Roger, if you could possibly not land directly on it, it was a pretty weak throw.
Between a few of us, we managed to persuade the helicopter to land in the wadi, which made lives a lot easier. They came down, 12 of them, not entirely sure why so many, with Bergens as well. They were expecting a long night out. They got the job done, did a controlled explosion. And then we pulled out, and, well, looking back on it, essentially we saved, numerous people's lives, whether it was ours or AMP or ANA or just locals driving through that point. So, it was a good job, well done.
Members of Harry's squadron gave him a favourable appraisal, with the odd qualification.
He's a prince, he's royalty, but he's also an officer. He's a good officer as well, and the lads get on with him really well.
it can give us a little bit of a benefit because we do get little surprises tucked away from the other units, because obviously they want a bit of face time with Mr. Wells, so there's no problems whatsoever.
It is fixed, he's just taking time out.
I eat breakfast.
A nasty habit I've noticed of when he gets in his bed at night time, of leaving something just outside the bivvy, and then he always calls someone over. Can you pass me that in, please? Because he's absent-minded at night time when he's looking forward to his bed. Yeah.
Harry's time in Afghanistan ended abruptly after word of his deployment leaked out. He was quickly brought home and immediately chomping at the bit to go back.
I'd love to go back out, and I've already mentioned it to him that I want to go out very, very soon. So I don't intend on leaving the army, but I think, as everyone will say to you, if you ask them, once you're back from operations, everything's a bit of an anticlimax, as in you go back to your unit and, well, there you are, day in, day out, you know, same routine, nothing changes, and that's the way it is. Where at least in operations, you know, you're kept on your toes the whole time, and that's what guys join up for, I guess. It's just that, you know, that sort of adrenaline.
It was never in any doubt that his Caribbean trip would include a visit to an army base.
Yo, camera, yo.
And perhaps it was inevitable that Afghanistan, on the other side of the world, should still cast a shadow.
Today was meant to be the day we got a sense of the military prince. He's dressed up in his military gear. But it's also the day that 6 British soldiers were killed in Afghanistan, so the whole event's been toned down. Harry doesn't want to be seen to be having fun or any sort of action on a day that servicemen have been killed and service personnel. So he was due to go up this rappel tower and abseil down, but the plan has now changed. He's just going to watch that going on.
He does, though, take part in some shooting practice.
Anyone with a camera want to stand at the other end?
Reminding those of us in the press pack of his noted marksmanship. And as Prince Harry gets down to business, scoring a near-perfect 39 out of 40, I find myself in conversation with an old mate of his from Sandhurst, Lieutenant Cayan Mills.
The Prince Harry that I know, he's very dedicated. And you may think, this is a prince, right? But he's really one of the guys. He's really one of the boys. He's dedicated, always gave his 110%, always dug in when it's time to dig in, always get down to the grime and to the dirt. Our platoon, as we know it, that group that we train with, we're still very tight on it. We're on most of the social networks.
So you speak to him on Facebook and...
Well, obviously he's not on that, but when I get his number, and from time to time his number will change, yeah.
Do you have a chat? What do people rib him about at Sandhurst? Being a royal.
Being a royal, the Harry Potter series.
Just call him Harry Potter?
Sometimes.
Lieutenant Mills had described an impressive fellow cadet to me. But this was also a period in Prince Harry's life when he made mistakes. In public. There were stories of drug taking and heavy drinking. There were stories of brawling outside nightclubs.
This is the first time I've ever seen Prince Harry. It's the first time I've ever, photographed him. I was quite shocked, in fact.
Not forgetting the infamous occasion he went dressed as a Nazi to a fancy dress party.
It's another right royal mess. And once again, it's Prince Harry who's in the firing line.
That earned him a rebuke from some of the country's senior politicians.
Saddened that the Prince has shown such immaturity.
I think a public apology is appropriate.
I think those were all part of him sort of growing up, learning, perhaps not being aware of how much the media were going to scrutinise him. I think that probably is Harry of the past. We haven't so far heard a gaffe from him for quite a long time. I think he's learnt his lesson, actually.
Senior royal sources agree. He's matured, they say, and the impulsiveness that used to land him in trouble now shows itself in a sense of fun. Never more so than in Jamaica, when Harry pays a call on the fastest man in the world, Usain Bolt. After a bit of banter, a bit of goofing, Harry pulls the old distraction technique.
He's here because they really wanted him, the Jamaicans. They wanted Harry. Originally, Princess Anne was coming here, and they sort of twisted and did everything to get him, and I think he's thrilled about that.
I tell you, he's really laid back. He's a wonderful person. As I said, a lot of dignitaries are kind of stuck up more professional, but he's really laid back, very cool. He's a professional, so I like that.
The call of duty and absolute loyalty as Harry the Soldier Prince concludes in a moment.